see that.
Reconnection successful. Oh. It's back to 0 kilobits.
Oh, there we go.
Deleting the model.
Oh, and we got to double add everyone.
Are we back?
Yeah, I can see everything that's going on right now.
That's good. Good. I was just a bit worried there.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, what was the last thing you guys heard, I guess?
Here, just go from the start of the anarchist military militia discussion.
Yeah. A single militia battalion is composed of and defends a single community. If anarchists have federated into national federations, then those battalions can be loaned to national defense. In the event that they are under national defense, then a elected official from the national seat of government can give orders to battalions. If a battalion decides that they don't like the orders from on high, then they can disobey them. There's really no way, I think, that you can be disciplined for disobeying orders. If an individual within a battalion disobeys orders, then discipline is taken out by the battalion itself, not by national forces. When this happened within an actual anarchist commune, most battalions chose to follow orders almost every time. None of them really got into the habit of disobeying orders. And the reason is most of the time they felt that their orders were reasonable and posed an actual significant benefit to their community and the communities that they were protecting. So, like I said before, when you allow people to disobey orders, you think that they're just going to do that willy-nilly, and they don't do that because it's just not in their best interest.
Annie's saying the Red Army did that. Platoons voted for the orders they received. Interesting.
That's pretty good, I would say. But I don't know the full details. There might be some problems with it. But for now, I'll give that a seal of approval, and we'll wait until I read more about it for me to retract that.
Of, let's say, one anarchist federation has some natural resources that another anarchist federation really wants, and the second anarchist federation is bigger. Yeah. And all their people do vote that they really want that stuff. The second anarchist federation that wants the stuff, does that mean they can just invade and bully the smaller federation?
Okay, so first of all, there are so many problems with this question. First of all, why didn't they just trade for it? Second of all, why didn't they federated or not? Assuming that there is a very large federation of very immoral people who just love war, then in that situation, they would attempt to bully the smaller federation, and in most cases,
the smaller
neighboring communities would feel threatened by that action and join that fight on the side of the smaller federation, because having a big bully around that knows it can bully smaller communities isn't good for your community.
But let's say the smaller federation, if you want to reason that the bigger federation can't just trade, smaller federations, they want to be a bit isolationist. They find it in their best interest to keep their business to themselves within their bounds. Anarchist juche.
I can envision anarchists anarchist, Juche. As silly as that sounds. A group of anarchists that like to be isolationist for some reason. In that situation, they don't have any natural allies, so there's no one that would jump to their defense immediately. But I still feel like in that situation, a lot of neighboring counties that even if they have never interacted with this commune, because they are an obviously isolationist people, they would feel very threatened by the existence of a big bully that's going around hitting people on the head.
Well, if
that wouldn't be something you would be willing to just have in your backyard.
If the big bully said that, we'll trade these guys' resources with you. You see, we're being nice. We're actually helping everyone by freeing up these resources.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying that in this situation where a bunch of very aggressive people take on a bunch of very, like, self-reliant people, and they use active bribes to convince everyone around to be okay with it. In that situation, the only thing stopping this from undergoing is people having basic morals and just not wanting that to be the way the world works. In which case, they would defend them on principle. And it's very possible that many communes would just choose to defend on principle because they hate the idea that that could happen.
Okay. And is asking if a draft would ever need to happen?
No. I don't think a draft is physically possible. Well, okay. Let's say there's an anarchist group, or sorry, a community that employs a draft for whatever reason. That's a very anti-anarchist thing to do. In general, it's a much better idea to not do that, and most anarchists really hate the idea of forcing someone to do something, especially like war, without their express consent. But like, these people are just like, I don't know, they were capitalists that got forced into anarchism. I don't like, whatever. They employ a draft. That means they're allowed to draft their own people because they said so and they agreed to it democratically and whatever. That there's still not a national draft because, like I said, the national government is formed by the cohesion of all of the individual governments, and a draft cannot be on a national scale because they can't pass laws. So any community that has decided to not have a draft then just wouldn't have a draft.
Yeah, interesting. How do you see this anarchist world happening, really? If it's all about not forcing people into things.
Huh?
If it's all about not really forcing people into things, how would this anarchist world appear? You just
come into existence? Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't just naturally appear. It requires you to actually change people's minds. This is a huge thing. When it comes to making anarchist communes, they have to be made with the express consent of everyone involved. So the way that comes about is a bunch of anarchists get together, create a community, thrive, like make sure that they actually do it well and like it continues to exist. set an example, make people want to do anarchism on their own, of their own volition. No forcing people to do it. No, like, conquering territory, no imperialism. That's just not a thing. You would have to make them want to do it on their own and give them a template to work with.
And then it's mass propaganda.
Yeah, effectively. Yeah, propaganda is the way that it works, because you have to make people do it of their own volition.
Yep.
People have to make their own anarchism. They shouldn't just follow yours.
And once a small area of anarchism has been established, how is it going to effectively defend itself?
National Federation. Each of the together, they form their nationalized military, and they take defensive actions together, like that. The way I described the national version of the military before.
What's to stop this from being nipped in the bud on, like, one or two anarchists, or, like, let's say 15 anarchist groups, where they don't really have enough of a industrial complex to stand up against even Guatemala?
Yeah. So you're saying a 15 anarchist communities sprout up in the middle of Guatemala, and then the government goes fucking scorched earth. The only thing that can help you when you have not enough numbers or industry is guerrilla tactics. But like I said, if it's a small group of people that don't have the ability to stand against a national government, then they can just only use what is available to them. But if they set a good enough example and make people actually believe in anarchism, then it won't stop there. Because that's the thing, is, like I said, anarchism spreads through propaganda. So the actual destruction of any particular anarchist commune is not the death of anarchism. Because if the idea continues to exist, then it can still sprout up. And that's the important thing. Anarchists don't need to get a foothold and then conquer more territory. That's just not how anarchism works. They need to make people believe that it's possible. And they need a lot of people to believe that.
Do you think a anarchist military-industrial complex would happen?
Okay, so you're saying where the industry feeds into the war machine specifically for the sake of defense, since anarchists don't really start wars, and in the event that the national government invades, it's likely that each of the individual communities would vote to recall their militia. So they have entire industries and plants produced solely for the sake of creating more arms that act as deterrent against capitalist nations, or maybe even neighboring statist nations, communist statist nations, just to be like, don't mess with us. And you're saying that that's something that could come into existence. In this case, I think North Korea is a pretty good example. Obviously not anarchist, not in the slightest, but
we're getting anarchist Juche again.
Yeah, we're doing anarchy. In the event that a group of people genuinely just does not feel safe, there is a big bad out there, like America, whose express purpose is to destroy you, the continual production of needless weapons can be a path that people go down, but anarchists are also just ideologically more likely to reject that and try to find alternatives. It's more like if these people were really scared and also they had no other ways to deal with it, then they might do that, but it feels like such a unlikely possibility.
Soldiers aren't immediately useful. Soldiers having soldiers who aren't immediately useful, but you still need to or want to justify their existence, like the Free Corps in Germany. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
But
That's
you can
a
answer.
slightly yeah. Like, okay, so there is no, or there might be an external threat, but there are no. It's a cold war, or maybe even there's no real tensions brewing, but the national military still continues to amass more soldiers and more arms and have them sit like in U.S. bases. They just sit there. In the event of that, like I said before, battalions can defect whenever they just go home. A lot of battalions would be sitting there doing nothing for months on end and be like, we're not helping anyone. We haven't even touched our guns recently. Let's go home. And they would just stop following orders from the national government. And they would start following orders directly from their community, the people that put them in power. Put them in power, rather the community they came from.
What if their community keeps telling them to sit there?
Their community keeps telling them to sit there. In that case, it's like up to like personal choice. Like if they go back to their community gets mad at them, and they sort of like do a audit of the militia where they go over hire militia and try to restructure it because they defied orders directly from the community. That's possible. That might happen. And then the other possibility is that their community just really thinks that there is a war brewing, and they sit around.
They're ideologically positioned to keep doing what they're doing.
It just feels like a situation like that is tension brewing. You have to keep in mind that the militia is not an arm of the community. It's members of the community who have volunteered to be a part of the militia. They are individual people with their own goals and ideologies, and they can plead with their friends and family and members of their like community, not using the word community to mean anarchist whatever, like literally just the group of people that they are in constant conversation with. If they feel like they're not doing anything, and they really feel like there's needless building of forces for no actual actionable purpose, then they would talk to the people who they trust and believe have the most vested interest in their safety and the safety of their community. And they would be like, can we please stop doing this bullshit? Because they are members of their community, and they also probably get a vote in the ultimate undoing of whatever is done. So, like, I'm telling you that something like that could happen, but it would require a lot of people to be very ignorant, and a lot of people's voices to be systemically underrepresented. Like, just people are in anarchist societies, are in constant conversation with each other, and that conversation is what avoids situations like the ones that you're bringing up. In the event that those conversations break down, then yeah, bad shit'll happen. But like the whole point of anarchism is the idea that those conversations won't break down and that people will continue to be listened to.
I like this music.
Yeah, this is good music.
Yeah. Good
Oh,
music.
it looped just like 7 minutes ago, or 8 minutes ago now. So that's pretty nice, actually.
Yeah. Nice. Hey, your commutations haven't broken down since I switched to a PNG.
Yeah, no, that's good. Maybe the trying to load the model on the Wi-Fi was the real big problem there.
I don't know why, because I'm willing to guess probably computer overheating, and it was the thermal throttling at that point. But like, the model doesn't take up any Wi-Fi space. Like, it can't. It's not doing anything on the internet.
Oh, Fluffy. I just remembered that there were those 2 white pixels at the side there.
Huh? Yeah, there are. They're there. Look at them. Oh, they're harder to see against the ocean there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Oh, very earlier, Zuri asked if you had read The Dispossessed.
No, I have not.
Which Zuri says is a good depiction of a planet-wide anarchist society.
Yeah, maybe I should read that. Because like I said earlier, I've literally just been talking about the way I envision it in my head, and then what I have actually seen from other anarchist attempts. Like specifically with the military, I was talking about things that I've actually seen. Not everything I said about the military was something I'd actually seen, but most of it was something I'd actually seen. And then if I wasn't talking about the military, it's likely that I was just sort of pontificating. So
where
reading The Dispossessed
seen
might be
these
a good
happen?
way.
Would that have been in the CNCFAI or the
Macno?
Magno?
Yeah, Macno had a whole system, I think, for organization of the military, organization of intelligence services, and there was one other one. Organization of the legislation by community.
He got by Trotsky, though. This isn't like a point ideologically against him, because obviously your ideology can be sound, you can lose a war, but it is kind of sad to lose against Trotsky at anything.
You know what? I'm willing to admit, yeah, if you lose against Trotsky, you just got to be fucking hitting yourself in your grave.
Yeah. Thank God I've never met a Trotskyist in real life. I don't think they're real.
I remember your original concept for Fluffy involved a axe on your side belt that you used to kill Trotskyists.
Yeah.
It was funny. I liked that.
Thank God for consistency. Always anti-Trotskyist. Because it's deeply unserious.
I went on a fucking almost 1 hour rant about fucking anarchism, and I don't read that much theory, I'll be honest. So that could have been horrible.
Well, this is
dude. I can't.
The longest discussion I've ever heard about anarchism. So, Freya, you are now my entire conception of anarchism.
That's good. That's great, because I am talking out of my ass.
Why do I hate Trotskyism? Specifically because Trotsky... It kind of felt like Trotsky was more of a... What's the word I'm looking for? It's when you're constantly against things, yeah?
Contrarian?
Contrarian. He was a lot of a needless and obviously there were things that were very bad in the early USSR, which you did point out. But past him, even. Oh, I should also point out that he was like kind of a Bolshevik before, so he still had some of those tendencies. But past him, even, a lot of Trotskyist movements tend to be weirdly anti-revolutionary. Like, they're responsible for a lot of infighting within Marxist movements, and they don't really ever get anything done.
You could say that about a lot of Marxist movements. You could say that about a lot of leftist movements.
Yeah, but like the Trotskyists fought with the anarchists and the other Marxists in the Spanish Civil War.
So the difference is between not getting very much done and actively impeding progress.
Yeah, because a lot of they're like the biggest not getting anything done ideology that really exists. And they're also an ideology, I feel like, for people who really, like, they think the idea of communism is cool, but they've still wholeheartedly eaten a lot of capitalist propaganda about previous socialist projects. Kind of like left communism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably should learn more about Trotsky, but even though there have been a lot of historical and current Trotskyist movements, I've still literally never met a Trotskyist in real life. So until that happens, he doesn't matter enough to me to learn more past this. Comedic hate of Trotsky, yes.
But yeah, no, what's going on?
No, I just felt a drop of water, but no, I think my face is just being weird.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. All my books. All at once. I'd be interested to wait like 200 years and see where the anarchist project is going.
That earlier you said, but what if I start my own anarchist community and then say we're Maoists now? And then I was so taken aback by that is because of the thing I also said, where I said anarchism is very propaganda. If you crush an anarchist movement, you haven't crushed anarchism, because anarchism is about convincing people that they want to do that, right?
Well, I can say that about Marxism.
No, but Marxist-Leninist, like, this is the core difference. Marxist-Leninists, let's say that they gain control of a territory of land. Their first goal is to expand that land, correct?
So, like, that's more of a permanent
have more
thing,
control.
Which was Trotsky.
Okay. Okay.
The whole you have to keep doing revolution and keep fighting forever and ever. That is permanent revolution, done by Trotsky, and then a bit by I guess the Soviet Union and
Okay,
Afghanistan, but they were called in by
would it be
there. But
would it be better than to say that like Marxists will gain control over a country and then use political levers, encourage revolutions in other countries that are completely done by those people?
yes, but wouldn't you say the same for anarchists? Let's say if a smaller federation appears in another country, and let's say the big anarchist federation already exists, and the small anarchist federation is being fucked over by the capitalist government, would the big guys not see it in their best interest to help?
No, they definitely would, and that's a thing. Is interventionism pretty unpopular with a lot of anarchists, but I do feel like there would be a vested interest in direct trade with the free territory on another landmass, like the exclave or whatever you would like to call it, the area of free territory that is separated. It would be good to support them in whatever ways you can, without necessarily trying to co-opt their movement and turn it into your own. But the reason I say that is, like, once a Marxist takes control over a nation, a large part of their thing is about, like, I don't know if I should describe this, because if I describe it poorly, then it just shows that I don't understand Marxism well enough. It's not necessarily about expanding your territory, but it is about spreading the revolution and maintaining yourself. But in the event that country, like some counter-revolutionary forces retake it over, right, and it stops to exist, then that's a complete defeat. Not like a complete defeat, but it's like a major setback, right? In the event that
a large anarchist federation being completely taken over,
but that's what we're talking about. Yes, that would be a major setback, but you're talking about a large anarchist federation.
Well, that's an individual country.
Yes, but that's what I'm getting at. An individual anarchist community, the type that is the easiest to be defeated, is not itself the core of anarchism. Its purpose is to set an example. So when we talk about anarchists getting easily defeated because they're outnumbered, those situations are not comparable to a socialist taking control of a country. And if, like you're saying, to make it comparable, we give the anarchists control of a large federation, they'd be much harder to take over. And in that case, self-preservation would be easier and also more core to their identity than setting a good example, because now they have a strong foothold. And purpose is to convince as many people as they can, in the same way that it would be for a social. A lot of the ways that anarchism works at scale is the same way that just socialism works at scale. But when anarchism is small, it has different goals. And that's a thing that a lot of people, I think, hiccup about.
So is that they don't understand socialism. You have to look at small socialist groups, like the guerrilla movements in, like, the Philippines. And India, and this is much more comparable to your single anarchist commune just existing in the middle of a nominatively capitalist nation.
So being there to set an example and to try to thrive as much as they possibly can.
With the ultimate goal
I think they're comparable.
Get as many of their community members to agree with them, so as to gain more control over the landmass and to push out the capitalist, the colonialist, what have you.
Yeah. Are we basically just trying to center in on the idea that most leftist revolutionaries have similar goals and want similar things?
I'm trying to figure out what you're saying here, because you started this by saying the key difference between socialist movements and anarchist movements. Is that
No. I agree.
if you destroyed a socialist country, it would be a bad thing for them. But if you destroyed one anarchist community,
no, that's not what I said. No, because like what I was getting at was that anarchism grows, but like socialism, I see what you mean when you say that it starts with the individual revolutionary guards. You're right. But like I wasn't thinking about it like that, and so my conception is that socialism can only be achieved when the government of an entire body of land is taken over. And at that point it would be very sudden. It wouldn't be transitional. So you basically just allowed me to consider it from
the transitional phase into communism.
Oh yeah. No, I know about that, but I'm talking about that transitional state, because that's the thing is when it comes down to it, communism will be achieved by either side. It's just that like there is this transitional state, this waiting period with nominal Marxism and similar movements, and that's the thing. Is like at the very least, I say this to all Marxists: I don't think that you want to create a world in which state rule is a universal constant. And I do believe that you do want to achieve communism.
Yeah. This is kind of you probably didn't mean by this, but you kind of described I think, mostly flawed idea that some Marxists have, that anarchism is just Marxism without the middle step of socialism.
I
think this is the most political stream we've ever done.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say in the middle of this conversation, when I was just like fucking yapping, I was like, this feels like a weirdly political stream for us. You know, you got that one comment that someone was like, you really turned me into a communist, Fluffy, and you're like, oh shit, now we have to talk about politics. We gotta convert more people. No, but like...
Turn woke.
Because like that's the thing. You were talking about like anarchism is not just communism without the transitional step, and that's because communism is communism is not just one thing, and that's that anarchism is a view of communism, and even it is very diverse in its interpretations. And so I can very much imagine that the form of communism that is achieved by state socialism would be fundamentally different from the type of communism that anarchists want to achieve. It's just, communism is good no matter what form of communism you have, but many different people have very different views of communism, and the forms of communism that are achieved by different ideologies are not as similar to each other as some people might think.
I'm not as well versed on the eventual communism side of things, because my main thought process and my main worry is getting to socialism and pushing past capitalism. Yeah. Anyway, what was the main difference between anarchism and communism? Have we gotten to that yet? We've been on like 3 tangents.
No. But the reason we got on those tangents is because I was trying to argue the main difference was about the different goals. But then you pointed out that I was thinking about the state wrong, and that it doesn't start with the state. It starts with the pre-revolutionary forces. And when analyzed in that way, the goals become extremely similar. A small anarchist free territory is extremely similar to a paramilitary group. Once it gets bigger, it becomes much more resembling of a revolution. And then once it gets so big, then its goals basically resemble those of a socialist state. And so there is an analog for each group. And at that point, the main differences I was talking about evaporate. Because depending on how you look at state socialism, any particular part of its revolution is an analog to a part of the anarchist revolution. So they're pretty similar.
So the main difference then would be the ultimate goals, or the goals of the larger stage, how that is set up.
Yeah. It's the types of communism they want to achieve and the way they want to achieve communism. Those are the core differences. But those transitional states
more about the stage of when you have a large territory and you can now govern it. You're not a bunch of militias anymore, or you have a federation finally. Those are going to be the first and most obvious signs of difference.
That would be
more so
organization.
The final goals of communism, because that's the point when you have socialism as a state, which is what most people think of, and what the main arguments are over Marxist-Leninist groups, or anarchism as a not a state.
Yeah. Because I was still thinking about goals. I was still goal oriented, but no, like ignoring goals completely. The main difference is organization. The actual day-to-day existence of an anarchist federation is pretty, like, notably different from the day-to-day ongoings of a socialist state. They just look different. They administer differently. That's the main difference. Ignoring goals completely, just like functionally, bureaucratically, they're different.
Yeah. Because I think, honestly, the goals are abstractly pretty similar.
Well, that's what I was saying. That is what I was saying. That's the reason why I had to separate myself from goals, because since I was stuck in goals, I was thinking about them too similarly.
You almost syncretize them. We never syncretize our politics, Perea. You don't know what'll happen if you syncretize too much. You'll end up with anarcho-monarchists, Perea.
Oh no, not Robbie. Not after all this time.
The ghost. The specter has come to haunt us.
The specter of narco-monarchism looms over Saho.
I think I've exhausted my questions about anarchism machine.
By the way, I will note, Fluffy, I've said it 100 different times, so this time I'll say it differently. If you ever find another anarchist who wants to have this conversation with you, you may find that they have very different answers. So it's not like you can just put this conversation to bed. This is the end of all anarchist theory.
I know. It's kind of like if you only talk to one person about quote unquote state socialism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's good to figure out what you believe. Because I've known you for 3 fucking years, Perea.
Yeah, like up until
and
now,
we've
it
been in a
really felt
political
like we
group
just kind of.
together.
I still don't even really know. You make jokes about Juche all the time, but I've never heard you explain your ideal government to me. And honestly, I feel like this stream might not be the best place to do it because we've been talking about it for way too long.
Yeah, and then I'd actually have to read a book about Juche Perea.
Because that is the thing. I said that I don't read that much theory, but like I legitimately did research a little bit of history and have conversations with other anarchists in order to form the opinions I described here.
Oh.
It's not as if I'm coming up with these off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know. That's how most people work.
Have you
Yeah,
done that? Have you
I've done that for everything except Juche.
Okay. So you still doing study on Juche?
Yeah. So like, with just like Marxism, Leninism in general, I've done a lot of research on that. But Juche, in the specific, it's just funny to me. I'm just gapping. I do have support from Korea though.
I'm gonna call it. This is the biggest anime betrayal in history. Fluffy is going to do a lot of research into Juche, and although she will still continue to support North Korea uncritically, she's gonna suddenly realize that she doesn't like Juche, and then she's gonna lose a huge part of her identity.
Oh my gosh!
You're gonna have to take the Juche tag out of the fucking stream for the first time in forever.
Annie says Juche is fun, and I always believe Annie uncritically about everything. Annie is my CEO.
I see. Oh, that reminds me of that when someone said Saho is an anarchist collective, and then Annie got super fucking mad. I gotta give you shit about that more, Annie. I gotta start calling the Animoyan art server an anarchist collective just to fuck with you.
Craig, you can't call Saho an anarchist collective. The only anarchist is you.
No, I said Annie's server.
Oh.
Because it'd be funnier like that.
Annie's server is an anarchist collective, and
yeah,
it's really weird.
Because if I call Saho an anarchist, if I call Saho an anarchist collective, the only person I'm giving shit is you, and I don't even think it's that funny because it wasn't you that got mad about the original comment. But if I call Annie's server an anarchist collective, that's super funny because Annie is currently typing in all caps as we speak.
I mean, I could say I was mad about the original comment that Arcadius made when he was. I think that was one of the times he was trying to describe us to the VTuber International.
Oh yeah, dude, this anarchist collective can join this other anarchist collective, and then everyone got mad, and I was like, "That's a really funny joke, dude." That was a good one. But yeah, could you not fucking try to kill Saho right now, please?
You fuck. Annie, you got collective movie nights. Pretty anarchists. You just gotta realize, has there been, you said you did a lot of research into history, has there been any larger scale anarchist movements past Kropotkin in the Spanish Civil War back in 100 years ago?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear any of that.
You said you did a lot of research into anarchist history, yeah?
No, I didn't say I did a lot of research into anarchist history. I said I have looked into it.
Okay.
Specifically, I remember the reason I did this is everyone kept talking to me about Machno, so I just actually watched a video about it. But
what's
I
your
feel
conclusion
like
on Machno? Is he cool?
Yeah, no, he was all right. I feel like a lot of the things that he set forth with the way he organized the militia and the intelligence service are good examples of how to structure other parts of society. It makes it easier to understand how federation could work. Because that's the thing is, there could have been a point or like an alternate history where anarchists thought about these separate collectives as their own islands. And like federation was discouraged because it would feel too much like a state. But I think the way that Machno collectivized helped establish a democratic method of federation that worked for everyone. Some people don't like it though, and I think that's fair.
My main question that you missed earlier was that have there been any larger scale anarchist movements past 100 years ago with Machno in the Spanish Civil War?
Let me see.
Any in like
let me do some live research. Because, like I said, I only did
and
some
I'm not
very
letting you
basic
say the Zapatistas. I'm not letting you do that.
No. There's another. I think I said this a long time ago, but the reason why it is difficult for me to point out large anarchist collectives is not because anarchists have not been put into use before, but mainly because a lot of people don't like calling themselves anarchist. Is a very European, very white word, and a lot of movements historically that have anarchist ideals at their core are not inspired by anarchism. People arrived at those ideas independently, and so when they get this like white label assigned to something they've been doing for thousands of years, it feels very colonial. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of things that I would call successful, a lot of things I would call meaningful, a lot of things I'd like to talk about, I refuse to talk about out of respect for these people who have never heard of anarchism in their life and would not call themselves anarchists.
Annie only knows Machno and then Spain. Like that's about all I know. There's Machno and then there's Spain, and then if you go before that, there were a lot more. There was a lot of Russian anarchists, a lot of Russian anarchists and nihilists who were involved in the late 1800s, early 1900s, like the 1905 Atlantic Revolution and whatnot. It feels like a lot of anarchists were more active in the early 1900s than they really are today.
No, I think that, yeah, I mean, that was back when anarchists were still assassinating the president.
Yeah.
I feel like that was probably the
anymore, and that's not.
We need to actually mad that anarchists are not currently raising shit, because the punk movement was heavily inspired by anarchism in a lot of ways, and they raised shit, and I'm proud of them for that. But like the modern punk movement and modern excitations of anarchism are more tame, and I kind of them are focusing on the propaganda part of it rather than you know, the assassinate the president part of it.
I feel
because
like
ultimately
the president
when you
would be good propaganda.
Well, that's the thing, is you have to spread the idea that the president is bad first. A lot of people back when anarchists were actively killing the president still liked the president.
Well, like, Craig, you gotta realize, the anarchists that killed the president didn't really ask anyone else's opinion. They thought he was a cop.
No. I agree. They didn't do it for public opinion. I'm saying modern anarchists do care more about that public opinion part. I feel like probably the main thing is that
punks would probably get offended by saying, oh, you guys just care about public opinion.
Yeah. No. But that's what I. This is conjecture, but I feel like back when anarchists were actively assassinating the president, what they were fighting for was their right to create an anarchist community. Whereas in the modern day, what anarchists are fighting for is the proliferation of socialism and communism and anarchism generally. And so the approach is fundamentally different because of that. It is easy to kill the president and hope that the ensuing chaos allows you to establish your own order that works for you and the people who choose to follow you. Follow here meaning in your endeavor, not literally like you're the CEO of anarchism. But in the modern day, we want other people to also feel like they should try this because our goals are much wider now. We have to consider the whole world and not just our community because climate change and globalism have affected the world so fundamentally that now we think more as a collective humanity. Even I think they did back when they were just fucking willy-nilly bombing places.
Mm-hmm. Is it authoritarian to kill the president?
No. And the reason is because of power. I won't go too much into like anarchist definitions of power, but this is just a personal philosophy that I have. The rights that you have are inherently linked to your privileges. And when you have privileges over other people's lives, you must necessarily give up a little bit of your privilege to have life. So the people with the ability to hurt millions have an equal loss of the privilege to not be assassinated. Because that's the only way that powerlessness can be properly squared away with consolidated power.
Mm-hmm. Is Switzerland anarchist?
No.
They have like a council governing them.
Yeah, but it's not because the council governs them. How many people are on the council?
12, I think.
Do they make laws?
Along with the other branches of government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do did not sit on the council have to follow those laws?
Yes.
Then it's not anarchist. Because the way I described it before, if something does not involve an individual, it cannot pass laws that affect that individual. In general, the you have if a law is going to affect your life directly, then you have to have been voting on it.
Mm-hmm.
And what is Annie saying? Is Hobbits anarchist? There might be an argument there. The problem is I haven't read enough of the Tolkien books to know for certain if that's true or not. Maybe?
Maybe. I feel like at that point you're being too off like the quote-unquote primitive communism stuff. And honestly, I kind of find primitive communism a bit silly. Because terms like communism, capitalism, socialism, and stuff. Oh no, the bit rate. Oh no. Oh. Well, the bit rate's back. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear a lot of what you just said.
Okay. Well, the bit rate's back. What happened to the coffee shop music? Freya, are you there?
There's some really serious. You cut to complete silence every once in a while. It's becoming a struggle.
Freya, the coffee shop music is gone.
Oh shit. Oh my hold on. Hold on.
Freya, the coffee shop music is how I can tell if I've cut out or not because it's constant unless something's cut out.
No. Give me a second.
I thought it was looping Freya.
No. The thing is, the tab accidentally closed because I was trying to close a different tab. No, it's back. It's back, Fluffy. It's back. It's back.
Okay.
I'm so sorry
You
about
have
that.
to stream it to me again, though.
Yeah. I closed the tab, not thinking about it. Yeah, I'll send you the music.
Anyway, what I was saying earlier was that, like, with the whole primitive communism thing, which I think is probably similar to how you're describing the hobbits, which is kind of projecting the modern term of communism onto older prehistoric societies.
Which is exactly what I was talking about. Yeah. That's exactly what I was talking about before with anarchism being a white word. It's like these people in these societies.
Let me finish my point before you say this.
Okay.
What I was going to say is that the whole communism, capitalism, socialism thing, they can't really be projected that far back into the past because hunter-gatherers didn't really have an economy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really there. There's like some minor trading, but that's not an economy make. Yeah.
That's also a thing that a lot of people get wrong.
Good, though, because they do have Hobbit money. What's the Hobbit bank? Freya, how does bill standardization work? Is it just if the people agree to all have the same currency, then it is so?
Bill standardization. I don't think anarchism has money because it's trying to emulate the no state, no money, no class of communism.
Yeah.
There is free trade where this is the reason why when you said before, like they have a resource that this other community wants. It's like, why would that happen? Because if you need a thing, if you need a thing, then you can get it from someone else who like specializes in making it. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's not like bartering because that's not a thing. It's just like it's handed out to whoever orders it. From what I understand, it's like
could I order 200 gold bars?
200 gold bars. The thing about that though is that it's up to the workers to decide whether they deem your order reasonable and necessary. So in the event that you seem like you're an individual who has no need of gold bars and there's a shortage of gold, they probably would not fulfill that request. But in the event that there's an excess of gold, they wouldn't really care if you as an individual need the gold bars or not. They can afford to just make you 200 gold bars.
Mm-hmm. Would there be a transition phase into the whole anarchism thing? Or are we going straight into no currency, property, etc.?
I'm pretty sure that there wouldn't be much of a transitional phase because I feel like the idea is as people start to create their own anarchist communes, they try to be self-reliant. But as more anarchist communes appear, they start to federate with each other in order to get access to more resources, in order to create stronger collectives, in order to defend themselves more effectively. And so each individual anarchist commune will do what it can to eliminate money in its own way.
Wouldn't the emergence of black markets serve to create currency irregardless?
Why would a black market appear? If you
Okay,
can
so I
order
really want
from
these
anywhere.
200 gold bars.
Oh, and an shortage of gold.
And the workers won't
Where did
give
they
it
get
to
the
me
gold
because
from?
they think I'm a stupid little idiot who doesn't deserve 200
Yeah,
gold bars for no reason.
there's a shortage of gold, and they don't think that you need gold right now, so they just don't give it to you.
Yeah.
Where is the black market getting the gold from then? From
well,
outside?
If this is pre-worldwide anarchy, yes. If this is post, maybe there's something one of the gold workers really wants, but they can't get, so they give that person some gold for it.
Okay, so here's the thing. While I agree that
crocodiles and have to pay their drug deal.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I think that most forms of drug, maybe not turbo crocodile speed, but most drugs are in two categories. Number one is free use, and number two is supervised use. Where it's like, if you need to do drugs, then you can do it in front of a doctor. Or if it's like really there's no threat to your life, then you can just do it at home. But what was I saying? Black markets, right? Let's if there's a need for something that is not being met because the need is not severe enough or not justified enough, or the person who has the need is not actually having a need, they just have a really strong want or whatever, then black markets might exist, but they could also be handled pretty effectively because of the fact that each of the individual communes is so close and so local that whatever forces there are to stop black markets have way more control over the small community.
Okay.
And they don't have to worry about. You could argue that like it's international, right? Like, a black market commune. I was talking before about
doing a black market.
Yeah. I was talking before about how defederation exists for communes that don't play by the rules in a way that is. Oh, they're hiding it. Okay. Well, in that case,
they know it's both in their best interest to have this black market because it gives them stuff, and also to hide it so they're still in the Federation.
Sometimes I feel like the questions that you give me, they feel like the biggest like hypotheticals. Like, you get $1 million, but your butt turns into a nose. Okay. So there is a black market commune that is very good at hiding it. There is still the fact that in any individual commune, it would be not difficult to police these things. And if a bunch of groups came together, a bunch of communes came together to try and track down the source, then there would effectively just be detective work to figure out it's all coming from the one commune. And at that point, traditional rules about defederation and potential confrontation would apply.
Okay, so it would just be handled like any other crime, like it is in any black markets.
Yeah. The thing is, the fact that, I said this earlier, and it remains true at every single level. The whole point of anarchism is that everyone is in conversation with everyone else. And so problems that arise can be solved by going communal, asking the people around you, asking the communities around you, or asking national infrastructure as it exists. And it becomes much easier when people work together with the same goals to deal with bad actors.
In anarchist world, how many censuses am I going to have to fill out per month?
1, because I think the only census that would probably matter is your local census administered by your community. And every census at higher levels would probably base itself off of that data.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And also, you said per month. I'm going to suggest that maybe censuses are only taken when a change in population occurs or yearly.
Mm-hmm. Wait, when a change in population? So we take a census specifically to census the baby that's just been born.
No, I'm saying when there is a change in the voting population.
Oh. Okay.
And you
But what about the babies?
Okay, babies are allowed. The wonderful thing about communism, you can have babies under an anarchist government. Sorry. But the thing is, if you want to include babies in a basic census, you can just add them on when they're born if they have a birth certificate. And then if they're not counted because they don't have a birth certificate, or whatever the fuck we do to count babies in this anarchist fucking commune, then
We ask them
a census.
if they want to be counted.
But that's what I'm saying is, if there is a formal process to tally which babies are being born, then they would be added to the census then. And if that doesn't work because it was a home birth or whatever, there may be a yearly census that tries to count unaccounted for babies.
Mm-hmm. Annie's
Can
asking
you
how
make the baby work?
we're going to ignore that one, and how welfare is generally constructed and supported.
Why would there be a need for welfare?
I don't know. You're fucking bedridden.
If you're bedridden, your community takes care of you. I mean,
That's
like I said
welfare
before,
for
you.
So sorry.
Okay, so I suppose what you mean then is the community is structured around welfare. The idea is that if you need something, you can literally just ask someone for it and they'll give it to you. Like, welfare is the basic
that
concept.
They don't like you.
If your community doesn't like you, then okay. So when the collective of all federated communes doesn't like a specific commune, they defederate it. But in the event that your community doesn't like you, if they have a really good justified reason to not like you and to believe that you're a threat to the community, then they might be able to tell you to fuck off. But in the cases where that's not justified or really doesn't have like that amount of gravity is not necessary, I feel like you would just get dirty looks, but they would let you live.
It doesn't matter if it's justified or not. It matters what happens at the vote. They just really fucking hate me for no reason.
Okay, so like there is everyone in Unity really fucking hates you,
or at least
and none of them
majority.
are willing to. Okay, what if you're autistic and people shunned you? In that situation, I'm gonna be honest with you. The community you're in sounds bad for you, and you should leave of your own volition. Because if they really, genuinely cannot be convinced to like you, then you're probably miserable. And there are communities that are much more willing to accept you.
Mm-hmm. What if you can't leave?
Why wouldn't you be able to leave? Like, okay, physically, like there's some ailment stopping you.
Yeah,
you would receive
one of my dad's. He's bedbound and also annoying.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. The community can provide welfare that specifically is designed to help you leave, but even if it's not physically possible for you to leave,
they all hate you and want you to suffer.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before.
Where call in a help squad from another community.
Are you willing to take this bedridden man? We hate him. Okay, sure. We'll send an ambulance over. They'll have full medical staff ready to attend to all of his needs as we take him from your community into exile and into our community.
What if the community you're in just fucking? What if you're being Amelius? Is that how you say it? You know?
The ones who left?
No, yeah, like what if the whole your whole community hates
you are the baby in the bottom of the thing that is making anarchism possible. So the point of that narrative is, isn't this fucking stupid? Why would we need to torture babies in order to have good things? So I imagine in that situation, that community would be defederated and invaded by its neighboring communities. Not because they hate them, but because they just find the idea of Omelius so fucking stupid that they're just like, we gotta kill these people because it'd be too fucking stupid to leave them alive. Holy shit! Why do they think torturing is the only way they can achieve communism? What the hell?
I mean, what if your community hates you so much that they don't want you to be able to go to another community?
Okay, so that's different from what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for mentioning Oblivious.
Mm-hmm. So that's... You're saying your community hates you so much that they want you, or they want you to stay there so they can torture you?
Yeah, kind of.
Or because they just... Yeah. Okay. In that situation, then you wouldn't receive help within your community because they obviously are just fucking spawns of the devil for some reason. But if you're able to communicate with anyone outside of your community, you can plead for help with them, and then they can be like, this community is doing this to a member of their community, which would lead to defederation and trade embargoes or whatever the fuck.
Right. What if there was an anarchist country where it was full of guys who looked eerily similar and were all called Gary?
Okay. What if there was an anarchist cunty where it was full of guys who eerily looked... In that situation, I feel like Gary and Gary and Gary and Gary would probably be elected as representatives in a national council for the town of Gary, and every other Gary would probably just live pretty easygoing, normal lives. They show up to work, they make Gary coffee makers or whatever, and then they go home to their loving Gary and their wonderful little Garys. And
would Agent Smith have to be split up into multiple communes?
What? Agent Smith?
Yeah, Agent Smith. You know, from the Matrix.
Okay.
You remember when he becomes everyone in the Matrix?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Would he have to be split up into multiple...
Okay, so this scene right here, this is how many Agent Smiths there are. Yeah. Okay, I can make this even bigger if I...
No, that scene. Yeah. That one.
So in this scene, Agent Smith from here over by a couple rows would probably be one commune, and Agent Smith from here over to here would also probably be one commune.
Okay,
and
so
then
you have to split them up.
You don't have to split them up. Actually, if all of the Agent Smiths are in like a hive mind, they could form one commune collectively, because they would all be able to. Because you would only need one Agent Smith to vote, because the rest of them would already be represented by that vote. And you would have his one vote be representative of like that many people.
Wants to know if Annie could bring their human pet in if it consented to be there.
Okay, so very important thing. Anarchism is about freedom from more than it is about freedom to. So you would need to, first of all, have the consent of your human pet, but you would also need the consent of everyone in that public space. You would need them to sign off, because that feels like maybe the sexualization there would make them feel like they're being harassed, and in that case, you would need their consent beforehand, before you walked out in public.
Okay,
like that,
and a bit more of a realistic thing. What if some of a community, they're like racist?
Yeah, okay.
Do you need
this
to
is
like
a thing
give their consent to be in a coffee shop if you're like black? They don't like that.
Yeah. No. I've considered this, and anarchism is a system of government which is designed around making sure that people can govern themselves and are not governed above. But people are bad and people are stupid, and so it is possible they will do bad and stupid things. And that's the thing, is another huge part about anarchism is the freedoms that you have. If you're in a community that makes you feel unsafe, then there should always be ways for you to get out. And like you mentioned before, if your community, for whatever reason, physically stops you from leaving, you should receive help from the outside, and there should be avenues through which you can do that. So if a racist community was segregating people, the people who were segregated should have the ability to leave that community. And in the event that they're not allowed to leave that community because of the racist laws, then external forces should be communicated with, so that reasonable action can be taken against racist communities, to make it so that if they're going to try and be racist, that they have to go through fucking hell and back to do that, and that no one who doesn't want to be in that community is forced to do that.
So the solution to racism is just move to a place that isn't racist?
If your community is so racist that they are able to vote down any anti-racist legislation, then I don't really see what your choice is. But if your community is not that racist, then political action is much more effective. If you're in a group of people who are not race conscious, but they're not racist, like systemically racist, then every instance of prejudice and every instance of systemic racism that does crop up can be fought against through simple political action, convincing people and petitioning.
Okay.
That's the thing, is we have been going over so many of these edge cases and hypotheticals that I don't think I've said enough, that in the vast majority of cases, you don't need to be exiled, and you don't need to leave, and you don't need to be defederated. There would just be a political movement that would end the bad thing most of the time.
Anarchism is super electoralism. Joe Biden is the CEO of anarchism.
Yeah,
Figured it out.
Because that's the thing, is we hold elections all the time, but the only thing we could possibly be voting on is who's going to rule over us, right? There's no other way. So anarchists have a fucking vote every single week, and every week they decide on a new Joe Biden, because that's how anarchism works.
Yeah. I really hope I don't get chosen, because I don't want to have to legally change my name to Joe Biden. But the anarchists, they might force me to become Joe Biden by voting so hard.
Yeah. Every single week they vote Fluffy as Joe Biden this week, and then you're like, I don't want to be Joe Biden, and then they say, but we're gonna defederate you if you're not Joe Biden, and you're like, oh no, I don't want to be exiled from my home, and so you put on the fucking wig, and then you wrinkle your face, and you say, and that's the facts, Jack, and you're like crying, tears just streaming, and every week this happens. You're always Joe Biden, and you never get to be OC, not even once.
I am OA. Oh my gosh, I don't recognize your name, but it seems like you've been here before. Since you're in a new chat,
Yeah.
welcome. Hello.
Hey there.
Hello.
No, actually, I do recognize your name. The last time I saw you was several months ago. Maybe January, maybe like December.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Welcome. You're chill. Annie wants to ask you, Freya, does Annie Mohian Arts' testicles need to be federated? Like, because they have so much sperm in them.
Yeah, because they're so big. I think. Okay, so Annie's cock is probably big enough that it would need to be separated into multiple communes. In which case, it would need to be federated separately. Like, okay, so what happens, right? This is a really important question that I'm asking myself now. What if the tip of Annie's penis does something bad and the shaft ends up defederating it?
What if one
What if one testicle ends up getting defederated by the other testicle?
what would happen if one county of sperm all collectively votes to get ejaculated, but the other people don't, and it just has a really sad.
Okay, so one splooge county votes to be ejaculated.
You just came in.
Yeah. One splurge county votes to be ejaculated, but the urethra county and the shaft county and the muscle counties all don't vote to help push them along. Then how are you going to, like, because the sperm has to travel down the shaft, but they haven't voted to allow that passage yet. I feel like at that point the sperm county would have to create political action within the shaft county, but then at that point it might be considered like interventionism. Like, you're from out of county and you're interfering in our county's politics. You're trying to make it so that you're allowed to come, but we don't want to come.
And you can't just put that. There's so much more. And you have to clip the whole thing.
Oh my! You have to get the whole clip,
fuck?
dude.
God. Yeah, this
Dude.
is why anarchism doesn't work, because in communism you just get a direct order from your penis and Stalin penis. And he forces all of the sperm out of the testicle gulags to march out the tip all at once.
Every time Annie wants to masturbate, you have to get fucking consent from 37 districts. And if even one of them says no, then like they haven't consented to being a part of the ejaculation, and you can't go through with it. Maybe you can come with one of your balls, but not the other. Is it possible to control which of your balls you come with? In that case, you might be able to get through with only one of the balls voting for it. Why did we start talking about that?
It's because Annie asked, okay?
Okay.
Like, Annie asked, what if you federated these nuts?
Uh-huh. And then we talked about what if we federated those nuts?
Have we answered your question, Annie?
Annie might be making the full clip now, depending. I love how the longest and hardest we have ever talked about politics, and specifically the longest and hardest we've ever talked about anarchism, results in a single clip called Anarchism, which is us talking about Annie's dick.
Oh God. What if the common revolution starts? The individual sperm cells could be big enough to both vote and resist outside forces. Interesting that this stream specifically is, I think, the longest Annie's ever spent watching one of our streams.
Maybe Annie was just really interested in anarchism. And you say you're not the anarchist VTuber Annie. Tisk tisk. Personally, Annie, I think you've always been the anarchist VTuber. You're not willing to admit it. I was gonna stream, but everything broke. I do like learning about your takes on anarchism. That's good. I was really worried that I wasn't gonna know what I was talking about, and I was gonna look like an absolute fool. Like one of you was gonna be like, "Okay, but what if someone held a gun to an anarchist's head?" And I was gonna be like, well, the anarchists they probably know jujitsu, I think." And then like, but no, I think I did as well as I could have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think you did good. I completely missed whatever the fuck you said for the last 3 minutes because my brother walked over and knocked on the glass window. Mm-hmm. So I had to talk to him. But I heard something about jujitsu.
I said if a statist held a gun to an anarchist's head, what would they do? And then I said, I think the anarchists might know jujitsu.
What if you lose?
What if you lose? You make that joke, Annie, but I feel like at least half the questions have been like, okay, but what about if like this really weird thing happened where everyone was an asshole?
Well, I don't feel like that's too weird of a thing because I've been in situations where a lot of people are assholes.
I agree with you, Fluffy, but a lot of anarchism is predicated on this idea that a lot of people react to their in an anarchist society. When all of your needs are taken care of, a lot of the inherent value in being an asshole is taken away, because you create a society in which people are not awarded or rewarded for aggression. And so being aggressive, as much as it's physically possible for you to do, doesn't get you anywhere. And so when you go to larger and larger societies, less of the people are aggressive enough to be able to perpetuate this type of violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ideology should still be able to hold up to some scrutiny and consideration, though.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I really could not put into words how little I think any of that is going to happen. But like, yeah, like I said earlier, I've always considered the idea, what if one of the communes was racist? Because that's an important question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of them could be very racist. There has to be a way to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then what do you think is going to be one of the biggest problems for the anarchist movement, if it's not people being assholes, I guess?
Well, actually, I think that you bring up a good point specifically. In the early days of anarchism, I really do believe that holdovers are going to be a problem. People will be assholes, like genuinely, they'll be racist
Reactionary forces.
they grew up in a reactionary environment. And people don't change on a dime. It takes time to change. They're going to exist. They're going to exist within an anarchist society and still have inherent anti-blackness embedded in them, anti-transness embedded in them. They're going to have to work through that. That's going to perpetuate itself in these societies. There needs to be strong and immediate political action in the early days from marginalized groups to defend their interests. And given the fact that the structure of society allows them to have equal control as their peers, it gives them way more power to do this organization. They can do it out in the open because them and everyone like them and everyone that agrees with them, everyone in their communities, all have an equal vote to their opposition. And I feel like you're right. When anarchism starts out, people are going to be racist, they're going to be sexist, and assholes are going to be the biggest problem. But as it develops and as people start to work past their prejudices and their bigotries, the biggest threat to anarchism is going to be counter-revolutionary forces, like literal terrorism.
Hey, guys, fun discussion. But my brother, he wants me to get back to the room because he actually has to let me in since I don't have a key card for this building. And he wants to go to sleep. So whilst I would love to keep streaming this, I can't.
Oh, so sad.
Mm-hmm. Goodbye. I'm so sorry. I'm a
Yeah, I know.
You just got here 20 minutes ago. Go watch the fucking box.
MMO8 came in here 8 minutes ago, heard us talk about cum politics, heard us talk about anarchism legitimately for 5 seconds, and then stream ended. So sorry about that, bud. But,
yeah, but my brother's
them's the
sleepy.
breaks. Yeah, them's the breaks.
Pal.